Hey guys, Prowl1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing Season 9 of Classic Doctor Who, another great Pertwee season. So, Season 9 of Classic Doctor Who, Jon Pertwee's third season. Of course, he continues with Jo Grant as his companion. This is her middle year. I like Season 9 because you can see already Terrance Dicks and Barry Letts fighting to kind of break free from the format of the show that they basically inherited, because the format of him being exiled on Earth had been settled on before they took over as producer and script editor. So you see them already trying to at least kind of stretch their bonds on that, with several of the stories taking place off-world. So unlike Season 8, where most of it was centered around stuff going on Earth, aside from Colony in Space, we have a nice variety of stories here. We start off with Day of the Daleks, and most of you know I love Day of the Daleks. It's one of my favorite Dalek stories, and I love all three versions of it that I've seen: the original version, the omnibus, and of course, the special edition. The special edition being my favorite with the updated special effects, as I do feel it is one of these stories that really benefits the most from its special effects upgrades. Although, to be fair, sometimes the special effects upgrades aren't quite necessary, like when he's being chased on the little four-wheeler thing, or three-wheeler, or whatever it was, and like some of the special effects there with the camera tracking him, sometimes it's a little much. Also, when it shows the futuristic city, the original shot looks better than the CGI shot. That's just bad CGI. For the most part, I enjoy the updated effects, but they did get a little carried away, I will admit. But the omnibus version is good, the regular version is good. It's a good story is what sells it, and it has good performances. I like this story of a group of people going back to prevent something and accidentally causing it. You know, that kind of, what is it, bootstrap paradox kind of, maybe, if that applies. Or more like what the 11th Doctor says later with when he mentions you can't change history if you're part of it. I like that. To me, that's pretty unique storytelling for when the story came out. We've kind of seen that done later with stuff like Days of Futures Past since then. But I think it was a pretty original idea for its time, and it holds up really well. And then the performances are good. I like the guerrilla fighters. I like the guy who plays the main guy who's working with the Daleks. The Dalek voices are pretty bad. That does hurt it. In the original versions, the Dalek voices are pretty rough. I love the updated Dalek voices in the special edition. I like the fact that it's Nicholas Briggs, but I think they recorded it on old analog equipment to kind of get that classic Who sound for classic Daleks. Definitely, I mean, just the improved Dalek voices really makes the story pop. And the fact they filmed some new sequences, but with old cameras, to really expand that final battle to where the final battle really feels as epic as your memory of it remembers it being. I like that a lot. I feel like the story itself is definitely a 10 out of 10 story, and the special edition just makes it live up to it makes the execution of the story live up to the story. And of course, our main cast are putting in a great performance as well, as they pretty much always do. Definitely my highlight of the season. I absolutely love Day of the Daleks. And then we have Curse of Peladon. We go off-world, where you have a story which I'm assuming was paralleling, I think, the Doctor entering into the EU, maybe. I know it's a parallel for something going on at the time. I'm not British. I don't keep up with all of that. But it's a really interesting story, a nice off-world story. I like the chemistry between David Troughton and Katie Manning as the King and Jo. They have a nice little chemistry between them that's enjoyable to watch. I like the set design a lot. I love the fight scene when the Doctor is having to fight in the cage. That's a pretty cool little fight scene. It's a nice story. I enjoy Curse of Peladon. I like it slightly more than Monster of Peladon, but they're almost a tie. I actually enjoy both of the Peladon stories. And the twist with the Ice Warriors, I actually really enjoy, because you don't really see it coming. And even the Doctor didn't see it coming. And I like that, because it kind of shows how even the Doctor can be a little prejudiced at time, a little not willing to trust, which in some sense, you know, if you saw the Daleks acting nice, you know, you'd be kind of, I don't know if we can trust them too. But it's interesting to see him kind of proved wrong there with the Ice Warriors. I enjoyed that. It's a good story. And then we move on to the Sea Devils, where we're back on Earth, more a contemporary story but instead of UNIT, we actually have the Royal Navy, I believe it is, that actually features in this one, which is cool to have them. We have Roger Delgado back as the Master, of course, and I always love having Roger Delgado back. We have a nice moment where you really hear the Doctor talking to Joe about how they used to be friends. I kind of like how even when Classic Who touches on the fact that once upon a time they were friends and that they were kind of close. I like that. So I like that that's mentioned here. I enjoy the story. I like the guy who's playing kind of the warden of the prison. The actor playing him is good. You know, I like that he's just a very patriotic fellow that kind of gets suckered in by the Master, and how he does go out fighting. I enjoy that a lot. I like the Sea Devil's outfits a lot. I really love the Sea Devil design. I think that's a really, really good costume design, how it gives him that kind of turtle face. I really like that. I like their little guns. I love some of the cliffhangers, like when you see them coming out of the water. That's such a cool cliffhanger. I love watching that scene when the Doctor uses the Sonic to trigger the mines. That's one of the most iconic scenes of the Doctor using the Sonic in Classic Who. I always love that scene. Now, it's not perfect, and I do prefer Silurian slightly over it, but it's still a really good story, a really fun time, and I love how the Master gets away at the end. It's a little over the top, but I love it. And then we move into the Mutants, which I've only watched the Mutants once, and I enjoyed it. I know it's not the best thought of story. Part of what was motivating me to really enjoy it was the fact I'd never seen it before. This constant wondering what happened next. And the story did a good job of that. It's a 6-parter. It did a good job of engaging me enough to where I wanted to watch the next episode to know what was happening next. And it's interesting because after 3 parts, it felt like it could wrap up in a 4th part. I'm like, man, this feels like one more part they could wrap it up, but it's a 6-parter, isn't it? But then, you know, the other 3 parts had other stuff going on that I really enjoyed. I liked the casting, the guy playing Key or whatever his name, which I think is the same guy who plays Wedge in Star Wars, I think. He's really good. And then the guy who plays the kind of commander of the space people, you know, the one that's always talking into the thing, the kind of heavier set guy, he's great. I really like him in this. He sells that character so well. You just love to hate him. That guy is great. So my hat's off to him. I love the fact that, again, we're off-world in this episode. So we've already had, you know, a story where we're on-world and then off-world, then on-world, then off-world. I like the fact we have a nice little mix this season. Some of the effects are a little naffed in the Mutants. The costume design's fine. I actually like the costume design for the Mutants. I think it looks really good. Some of the special effects could use updating. If there is a story in Season 9 that needs updated effects, I'd say it's either the Mutants or the Time Monster, one or the other. But probably the Mutants, but I'd settle for the Time Monster. But the story, it makes it worth it. I like how it talks about things. It's a great political statement against things like classism, elitism, racism. So while I do think Dot and Bubble may have done it better, I do like the Mutants a lot and how it tackles classism, elitism, and racism and puts that on display for people to see, and it shows how they are negative things and how they can negatively affect civilizations. That's done really well here. And I tend to like the guest cast in this one a lot too. And then for the final story, we have the Time Monster, which tries to go out and be a very epic story similar to the Daemons. And whether that pulls it off is going to vary from person to person. I actually like the Time Monster. Again, I've only watched it once. I liked it. Some of the special effects are a bit naffed, like the Kronos creature. And then when they talk to the female Kronos at the end, some of that looks a little rough and hasn't aged well. But I enjoy the story. It's basically, you know, we have UNIT back. So we get UNIT in place some here. And it is set in contemporary times for most of it. But then we also get the last couple episodes when we're in Atlantis. And then we have the little spot at the end when we're talking to the female Kronos. So we do get some not contemporary time stuff there too. Ingrid Pitt is great in this. Her costume designer is also great in this. Roger Delgado is back again. I'm always happy to have Roger Delgado here. I like the story itself. I love the King of Atlantis. I love that guy. He is great. I was extremely upset when he died. in the episode because he was amazing. I love when the Master tries to hypnotize him and he just laughs at him. He just, that guy he's a goat. He's a goat of Doctor Who. I absolutely love that guy in Doctor Who. He is one of the goats. The stuff with the Minotaur, I don't think I really needed. But then again, it also has David Prowse in an episode of Doctor Who, which is pretty cool. And having Darth Vader in an episode of Doctor Who is pretty cool. But I like the Time Monster. I think it's fun. The one time I watched it, I enjoyed how it plays with time travel and the effects of time travel. Seeing the one guy get hit and grow old. We also get a Terry Walsh cameo as the guy on the ladder. It's always nice when they get Terry in there, so I like that. Yeah, I think it works as a season finale. Again, not as good as the Daemons, but I think it works pretty well. Just needs some updated effects. As a whole, it's hard to pick what is Pertwee's weakest season. I mean, his strongest to me are 7 and 10. I think his weakest, most people would argue, is either 9 or 11. He doesn't really have a weak season. All of the Pertwee seasons are very good. It's hard to pick a weakest for him. Actually, my weakest would probably be 8, maybe 9. It's tough between them. But I think it's a good season. Again, I like that everybody kind of is comfortable in their roles at this point. Pertwee, of course, knows what he's doing. He's known pretty much since day one, though. Joe is really good. Delgado knows what he's doing with the Master. Barry Letts and Terrence Dicks know what they want to do with the show. They've got a firm grasp on it. They've got good directors in play. And again, I like the variety of stories going from contemporary Earth to out in outer space, contemporary Earth out to outer space. And then even in Day of the Daleks, you're also in the future at some point. So I like the fact that it's doing a nice variety of stories, whereas so much of season 8 is set on contemporary Earth. I like that it's doing different stuff with that in season 9. It just feels a little more pushing its boundaries and trying to do new stuff, which I really, really enjoy. Season 9's a lot of fun. About half of the season is the original Masters, and a little over half isn't. I think it's 26 episodes, 11 are original Masters, and 15 episodes are from other sources, because I know all of Day of the Daleks are the original videotape Masters. Matter of fact, it's the first complete story with videotape Masters, the original videotape Masters. Curse of Peladon is all from other sources. Sea Devils, the first 3 episodes are from other sources. The last 3 episodes are the original Masters. The Mutants, the first 2 episodes are from other sources. The last 4 episodes are from the original Masters. And then the Time Monster, all 6 episodes are from other sources. Although with the Time Monster, there's a little asterisk there, because the Time Monster they did actually find a black and white 625 line PLA videotape. So they were able to combine the color with that videotape instead of having to use a 16-inch telerecording. So because of that, episode 6 of the Time Monster looks noticeably better than the others, which is why they didn't have to do a second version of it on the box set like they did the other 5 episodes. So that's actually pretty cool. I like the fact this season's about half and half, and at least almost half of it survived with the original Masters. From here on out, we're in much better shape with original Masters from the Pertwee era, moving into season 10. So yeah, season 9, the show's continuing to be great. 70s Doctor Who is just amazing. I absolutely really enjoyed this season and the variety in it. I want to know what you think of season 9 of classic Doctor Who. How I would rank them. Let's see. I think that's really hard. I didn't write them down ahead of time like I tend to. I'm not quite sure how I would rank season 9 at the moment. Maybe I'll do that when I do the season 10 video. I'll recap and talk about how I would rank them. That's actually very difficult for me. We'll see. So I want to know what you think. Comment down below and let's talk about it. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button, and plus all the other links to all the other stuff down in the description. Links to the Patreon, the Amazon wish list, the Amazon UK wish list, the P.O. box is down there if there's anything you'd like to send. I want to give a shout out to Colin Coney, one of my top tier patrons. I appreciate his support, as I do the support of all of my patrons and YouTube members. It's much appreciated. Most importantly, thank you for watching.